Hello and welcome to Minis and Muscles. We are rather late this evening, so I do apologise. We are rather late, but we are here nonetheless. It's a Friday, so how are we all this Friday? Bear with me whilst I sort out all the admin parts. For some reason, my MacBook where I do more live streaming has signed me out of everything. So when I came to log in and do all the good stuff here with you guys, it didn't allow me to do anything. So that's not so good. However, I am working right now to sort all that out. Just trying to work out what the hell and how the hell I can get myself back in to YouTube to see all the chat and to see everything that's going on. So bear with me whilst we settle this up. So how is everyone's Friday? I do apologise once again that I am late. You can slap my hand and tell me off for being the naughty boy that I am for being late. Yeah, so I do apologise. Just signing in here so we can actually get ourselves back up and running. Yeah, so what's been going on? Did you have a good week this week, peeps? What's been happening? Hopefully that'll sign us in. Oh gosh. Now it's asking for pass keys and all the rest of it. Oh my lord. How the hell does anyone actually know how to do that? I haven't got a clue how to do that. Okay, let's try and continue and see what happens. I don't know what it's supposed to do with the passkey, but we'll see. But anyway, last week, where were we? Well, last week we got to the point where our Grombrindle model, here he is, in all his glory, fully painted, looking absolutely spectacular. We finished him off last week. It was a beautiful moment. We got him finished after 6 sessions. We finished our little guy off and he got sorted, so that was wonderful. However, we chose to do a new model, and that new model was the Ghost Dragon. Given I am very, very late to the party, I must apologise. But I haven't prepped. I haven't had a busy week this week, and I haven't managed to prep the undercoat for our Ghost Dragon. So to that end, I'm just going to be painting some Warhammer miniatures actually whilst we're here. Just painting various different Warhammer miniatures. I've got a couple off to my side here to look at painting. So these are our choices for this evening. If I bring them a little bit closer, there are our choices. I'll re-show them again so we can have a little vote once we get the chat going. But I don't know what the hell this is doing here. Some kind of 2-step verification, passcode, rubbish. I don't even know what that is all about. So, absolutely baffles me. Unless they've sent me an email and told me that I need to log in somewhere and do something. I don't think so. No, doesn't look like it there. Doesn't look like it there. And I can't see what you guys are saying to see if you're telling me, Steve, you've been an absolute fool. Just do this, just do that. So why is it not letting me do anything at all? And apologies for this little wire that's running down. This is a wire for charging our mini cam, just so we can make sure we can get good live pictures to you of the models up close. But anyway, for the time being, we'll persevere and crack on, or at least try to, he says. So we talked about last week that we finished our Grombrindle model, which is absolutely awesome. He looks cool and he's all done. We also chatted about a lot of different things from Warhammer to other geeky topics. We had our muscles moment as well last week, and this week what I wanted to talk about, that's something that's really, really dear to my heart, is it's a D&D topic, so bear with me, and it's called Critical Role. Critical Role is a it's just told me here my 2-step verification is not working. Tap yes on your phone. Check your device. Well, I'm on my device. My device is not telling me anything. Silly YouTube. Why is it not saying nothing? Oh, hang about. Hang about. Hang about. Yes, it's me. I'm trying to sign in. Let me in. Ah, I think I might have done it. No, I don't want any of that. Not now. Skip that. Close. Haha! We're in! Ah, there we go. There we go. We've got Aimzo in the chat. I can see you now. We've got Squarish in the chat. Ah, thank the Lord. We are back. That's good. What a drama. What a drama. So not only was I late to the party, again, apologies for that. Had some family members over that I don't see very often at all. So it's very imperative that I just stay with them a little bit longer, just to talk to them a little bit more. I know, yes, I love you guys too. However, it's very important to see your family members when you don't get a lot of opportunity to see them and speak to them. So I'm just moving some control panels around now just so I can actually see what the heck's going on. So we're here. Okay, good. Right, that means I can bring this screen back over this side and actually talk to you properly. So, chat, we've got Squarish and Aimzo online. Hopefully we'll get a few more. I can't see my stats coming through yet, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. So I can't see how many people are online or who's watching. But we were talking about choosing a new model because I was a fool, like I was by not turning up at 7 PM, but also in the fact that I never got round this week to undercoating our Ghost Dragon. So we have a couple of options for this evening. There's some Warhammer models, alright? So might need to swap cameras actually whilst I show you these. Let's have a look if we can do that. Let's just move this one out of the way. And we're going to move over to... Oh, there we go. Should be this one. There we go. No, it's not that one. Not that one at all. Oh, is our minicam cut out? No! Minicam! What are you doing to me? Oh gosh, that's not good. So we have no minicam. That's not good at all. There we go. Minicam on. Zoom, 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 zoom. 11. There we go. Right. But it's not showing up here. That's not good. Ooh, I don't know how to fix that. Oh, we're having all technical dramas this evening, guys. What an absolute nightmare. Let's see if I click back on there whether it'll fire back up. No? Okay, so it's phone view. Here we go. We'll get there. So this is our first model of choice. This is a Warhammer 40,000 model for the Adeptus Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle. And this is a character model. And her name is Astrid Thurger. Yes, I'm definitely being tested by the tech tonight, Angel. You're very right there. So this is our first character that we have an option to paint this evening. We have this lady, the Imagifier. Again, from the same army, so it's another character model from the Sisters of Battle. And then we have the Hospitaller model as well. So they are our three choices for this evening. That's what we have available. What would we like to paint? They're the choices, chat. I'd love you to drop a comment in and let me know what you want to see. So hopefully we'll get a little choice on that. Anyway, whilst we're talking around last week's session and what we were talking about, we covered a fair amount on... oh my god, even my brain's going to melt. I think it's because I'm all flustered. So we covered Warhammer. So we talked a lot about... In fact, yeah, we talked about board games session before, Warhammer on the last session. We talked about the Sisters of Battle and why I liked them and why I'm collecting them. So I played to that first game of 40,000 the other week, and now I've got all these models to paint. The reason why it's also helpful that I paint this model on the channel this evening is because on the 18th I've got another game and I'd love to be able to play my models. So hopefully this evening I can actually paint one of these, get it finished, and that will add to my army collection. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. So we'll do that. So we've done our Grombrindle, so that's all good. And we're actually going to talk about Critical Role. So I'm actually going to choose this figure to paint tonight. So this one here, it's the first one. The packet's actually open where I've sprayed it anyway. So we're going to do this one tonight. Here we go. Oh, there you go. I think my camera's working, so I don't know why it's not giving me my minicam. That's not good. That's really not good because you can't see nothing. And that sucks. How do we fix that whilst we're live? Gosh, what a question. So on this one we've got... I don't think I can do it, guys. I don't think I can do this whilst I'm live. Or can we? Let's see. If we remove this... Yeah, let's remove that one, and then let's add something in here. So you can't see what I'm doing right now. The screen looks blank, which is rather weird for you guys. I completely get it. And I'm hoping... No, it didn't do it. It didn't add it in. Oh no, that sucks. I was hoping by adding and removing the video feed that I'm taking from this right here and dropping it straight in, that actually... it would work by adding and removing, but it doesn't seem to be working that way. That's not so good. But anyway, we'll persevere. We'll get on and we'll use the side camera as well. So we'll pop over here. So what I've got here, guys, is I've got my model on a sprue. So a lot of models, especially 40,000 Warhammer models, that is. These guys almost... Square is saying, OBS, you could try going to the video input, swapping it into another camera, then back. Yeah, I did. I deleted it. I removed the video feed and then added it again, but it didn't seem to like it. So that's no good. But that's okay. We'll persevere on this one for a sec. Or in fact, should we try? Let's just try one more time. Okay, let's try one more time, Squarish, just for you, brother. So let's remove that camera and let's go to add. Let's go to video capture. Let's call this VidCam. Go to device. Let's see that one. See, it's not picking it up. It's not giving me. Ah! Ha ha! Huzzah! It's worked. Ah! Brilliant. Right. Okay. So. I don't know if you guys are even seeing this right now, but I'm literally editing this as we go. So I need... Where was the window to change this? That's another question. OBS is a pain in the hoop. Yes, bearded veteran. It is a pain in the hoop. For some reason, it's just not picking up my camera. And it's giving us a load of jip. Which is rather frustrating, but now I'm just trying to work out how to then rotate the bloody picture. So that's always interesting. But if we go to this one, I should be able to add it in here, and you should be able to see me and also get the video feed. So let's try that. Let's remove this one. And then let's add video capture device, add an existing, add that, add it in. Right, here we go. There we go. I think you might be able to see that. Let me know if you can see that, guys. You should be able to see it. Just got to move it through the order just so it sits in the right place now. Just a bit of a pain in the bum, but we'll get there. Order, move down, there we go, that's sitting in the right place. Move it across slightly, and done. Let's lock that where it is. Fantastic. At least we've got this camera working at this angle, okay? So that's good. Here we go, here's our sprue. We were talking about how all our models arrive to us. If you're new to modelling and painting and all the rest of that good jazz, Warhammer models come on these plastic sprues. They don't come black, they come in a grey, unprimed colour. What I do is kind of cheaty, and I talked about it in one of our preparation videos, and I think video number 1, where I take, as soon as I get a model, I take it, I take it out of the box, out of the wrapper, and take it outside and spray it straight away. Even if I have no intention of painting it that day, I spray it. So, once it's sprayed, it looks like this. It just gives me a bit of an opportunity to have some undercoat on there without too much of a fuss. So anyway, then what you've got to do is you've got to follow some instructions and cut out the model and glue him all together. Absolute pain in the bum sometimes, but let's go through the process, right? It's all about modelling on this channel, so let's take you all the way through this. This is what your instructions look like. They come on a nice sheet of paper. I won't bore you with those though. But I'll just go through every step with you. We'll glue her together and we'll start putting some paint on this one. So we're looking for number 3. So I don't know if you can see, guys, but these are all individually numbered. Over here, look, number 1, and you've got number 9 there. So we need number 3, which is this piece on the end here that my thumb's on. So let's cut her out. Anyway, whilst I'm chatting and sort of catching my breath, how are you all? It's Friday, guys. We made it to the frickin' weekend. We are here. Thank the Lord, right? Thank the Lord. We made it. When you cut out these, by the way, what you do get is you get a little bit of a burr on there. What you can do is use, like I'm going to do now, the edge of your cutters just to take away that rough edge, like so. There we are. And you can also do it on all the other parts. I just find it's quite easy to use the edge of these knives. You can use a proper hobby knife. I find that I'm clumsy and I end up cutting my hands all the time when I use those. So I've got the kid-proof version, which is my trusty snips. You can also use a file. I do have a file. I've got one right here. The files look like this. And you can just use those lightly just to rub it down. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. Well, you've just base coated it black and now you're going to have to paint it again. Why don't you just paint it later? I completely understand your point. However, when you're doing lots of models, base coating them and making sure they're undercoated become tedious. So, what's he saying here? So, if you prime everything before you put it together in front of you, you'd be gluing paint to paint. I think that's what it says. So, yeah. So, you might be gluing elements of paint to paint. Yes, correct. So, you do have to be careful on when you're putting a model like this together and you're actually putting the pieces together. So, you can't go too heavy. I use a spray can on these and go nice and light. If you slap on too much paint, like you say, you're going to struggle to fit the model together. But it does work. What my channel is about, and I said from day one, is it's about ease and it's about speed, or as best you can, you know. Because I'm not a pro painter, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are not, and they just want to be able to paint a model in a fairly decent time and put it on their shelf or use it in a game and it look half decent. Now, if you're into that sort of vibe like I am, pre-painting is really nice. Yeah, you might have to go back and run a tiny bit of black over some area, but it's never really that much of a problem. Like our man Bearded Veteran saying, you might have to glue paint to paint, but again, it's not generally an issue. You might come across it a little bit, but I've not, in my time of doing these, I've not found it to be anything too problematic. So what I'm doing now is just going to run some glue over the edge where we're sticking the front of her body together to the back of the body. So let's just run some glue in here. Yeah, so I haven't asked you guys, how's your week been? How has your week been? What have you been up to? What have you been doing? Has it been a good week? Has it been a bad week? Tell me everything. So let's just bring it back into camera again. Now I've just stuck this one together, right? And I've noticed, I thought, hang about. If you're looking, let's take it back apart. If you're looking at this part here, actually, I might want to paint that first, because if I stick that together now, I'm not going to be able to see that area. So let's actually start painting right now. I think it's a good time to do so. There's one red. Where's my other red gone? There she is, up there. Let's mix them up. The reason I'm going to do this, guys, is because if we get my pointer out, when we're looking at putting this part to this part, we're going to cover completely over this cape. That's not that great, because it'll be really difficult to get in there and get all the details in. So to avoid that, I'm going to actually paint some of this now. So I'm going to paint the back of her leg here, I'm going to paint the inside of her cloak and get that sorted. Because otherwise it just looks really shabby, or you're trying to get your paintbrush into a really small area and it's just very, very difficult. So if you can paint as you glue, that's not a bad way of doing it. Alright, as long as you know your colours you're using. So I've just dabbed some red into my wet palette. And I'm going to go again across here. Just give it a light colour. It doesn't have to be perfect as well when you're doing it in this fashion, because these are in areas that are not well seen. So you don't have to be absolutely accurate, but it does mean when you look through the model itself, all the areas are covered nicely. So what Square is saying in chat, he's saying he's had a good week apart from injuring my back again. No! How did you do that, dude? What happened? Come on, tell me all about it. I almost had a similar situation myself in the gym. I was doing legs this week. Well, I do legs every week, but I was doing legs in one of my sessions this week. And I went fairly heavy on the squats. And if you don't get it quite right, I got sciatica a little while back. And I found if I don't get my squat just right, and I look a bit weird when I do it, doesn't look like the normal squat, I actually activate the sciatica again. And that's super painful. Like really, really painful. So I was going that week and I almost did it. Almost overcooked it the other day. So I know how you feel, but tell me how you did it, Squarish. What about you, bearded veteran? What you up to, brother? Much been going on? So for my paint for the inside of the cloak, so the Sisters of Battle, let's just remind ourselves of the picture. Where is it? Here it is. So Sisters of Battle, I'll use this camera. I like this, look. That's what she's going to look like in the end. There you go. If I turn it that way, that's what she's going to look like. So she has a nice red on the outside. Now, to get a cool effect of a darker sort of red on the inside, because it's the inside of her cloak, I actually used 2 shades of red here to actually paint. So the paint I'm using right now is, I think it's corn red, which gives you a sort of a dark kind of gritty red. And then when I do the outside for that real bright, vibrant red, I will go with Mephiston red. Again, they're 2 Citadel colours, in case you're looking for that colour set yourself. That's what I will use. I just find this corn red, when you've got a black undercoat, looks really, really cool. And it just dries like that. Can you see the difference in how it dries? It just dries a sort of dirty red. God, because I've been talking so much already. I'm coughing like a madman. There we go. So, what else has been going on, peeps? What's been happening? So I just dry off my brush a little bit. So the other colour I've noticed that we've got here that's in the trapped area of the model, let's call it, is we've got some silver on the knees and on the backs of the armour here. So that's going to be quite important that we get that right. Now I'm just checking on here to see what it looks like, because let's bring the picture in again. I really like to try to... I'm not great with imagination on colour and things like that. And again, if you're a pro, you'd probably think, oh yeah, I'd paint that pink, blue and purple and it looked really good. I don't think like that. My mind doesn't work in that way, so I just copy. And I'm good at copying things, not so good at being on that creative side. Although I'm getting better. So I'll just copy this. So what I'm trying to do is just understand what's grey, what's black on this model. But actually, it looks like it is pretty much all black with some highlighting. So, and bits of white and little tiny bits of silver here and there. So we might be good to now look at sticking this model together. Although I might want to cover that off just in case. Have a sip of my Pepsi whilst I'm here. So, Squarish is saying, filming a Paralympic wheelchair rugby player, lots of running around the gym with the camera hunched over in hand, aggravated a long-term shoulder injury, working on stretches and mobility now. Yeah, it's the only way to keep yourself injury-free is plenty of stretching. I think it's as well as you get older. When you're in your 20s or your teens, you don't need to stretch at all. But as soon as you get mid-30s, that's it. It's like stretching is absolutely golden. If you don't stretch, you'll be done for. So just apply some glue onto here. This is what glue I'm using. Is just Citadel's plastic glue. It's really easy. You won't end up gluing your fingers together or anything like that. I probably overglue all my models because I'm always paranoid that they'll never stick together. So let's just get this in place. And just hold her for a couple of seconds. This glue dries really fast as well. One thing I do love about this glue, and these models in general, they don't take long to stick together. They really do work well. Yeah, they are overpriced. I'm hearing you. You know, they're not the cheapest of models, and it's not the cheapest of glues and all the rest of it. But they do work very well. So I can't complain. What's Bearded Veteran saying? He's saying, it's been a good week so far. My back has finally recovered-ish. I got to play Candela Obscura and Honey Heist with Squarish. And I've had some goodness family-wise, but I can't discuss that on YouTube. Oh, good news. Okay, not goodness, good news family. Fantastic. That's really good. Awesome. Good family news is... Well, any good news is good, but when it's with your family and things like that, that's perfect. It's exactly what you want. Right, so there we go. She's stuck together. So what she will need is she's going to need some black, because we need to cover in those areas that we didn't quite hit with our undercoat, because we then obviously took some of that undercoat away by scraping these sort of edgings off. I tell you what though, Squarish, Bearded Veteran, you guys, backs, what's going on, brothers? Now what is going on? But to be fair, it's a really common back injuries are really common because it's the most underused and underdeveloped muscle group in the majority of people, not in everybody, but in a lot of people. So you're not alone. Let's just cover this black in. And sometimes as well, when you do your undercoating, you might miss bits and you think, oh, it just needs to be a little bit darker there, or it needs to be a little bit lighter there, or whatnot. So you can always add a bit more in, just to make sure you've got all the bits. Square saying, sounds stupid. Once I hit my 30s, I started realising the importance of doing a warm-up before picking up the camera. Yeah. Ain't it stupid? It does sound stupid, but it's so not. If anyone is under 30 and watching this stream and thinking, Oh, yeah, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to warm up. What are you talking about? Yeah, it'll hit you. You wait. You wait. It will happen. You will hit that age and you will get to that point where you have to stretch. It's just one of them things. There we go. So our undercoat's done. We just covered in them little areas. So the Honey Heist and Candela Obscura. So I've played Honey Heist before. Honey Heist is a tabletop role-playing game where you're bears, and it's quite mental, the sort of outcomes that happen. It's very narrative role-play driven. Less sort of dice throws. Well, I found in the games that I played, less dice throws, more narrative. But it's very, very funny. Haven't played Candela Obscura yet, but I would love to. Funnily enough, I didn't do my warm-up before injuring myself. Yeah. Oh, I do exactly the same, Squares. Don't worry. So we've got that part there. Let's look on our instructions. Okay. So what do we need? Oh, crikey. We didn't put that. Look, this is how silly it is sometimes, right? I got those two bits and didn't put their bloody arms in. Do you know what I mean? So now we've got to go back and get these arms. We've got to prise her apart. And then we've got to stick these arms in somehow. Jesus. I'm not sure. Well, in fact, this is a good demonstration. This is a great demonstration on how not to do it. As in, be prepared for your YouTube live way before you're meant to go live, and then you won't have cock-ups. So, lesson learnt from me. Oh, fudging fudge. Oh dear. I think I'm breaking everything as well tonight. It's not good. Right. So, let's have a look at this. That's another thing about Warhammer models. Sometimes I find when you're making these models, it's a bit like guesswork on where everything bloody goes. Oh, look, I've now just broken it. Great. So that bit did go in there. And then that goes over the top. Right, okay. Alright, so we might need a little bit more glue. Jesus. Oh, God. There's going to be some proper, like, Warhammer spotter geeks out there like, oh, my God, what is this guy doing? He's absolutely ruining it. And I'll get ruined. No one will ever watch Minis and Muscles again. The channel will be dead. Alright, here we go. Third time's a charm. Here we go. Alright, let's just hold that together for a sec. Whilst we dry, as I said, the glue dries very, very quickly. Let's just change the music, because that one seems to be rolling around very, very often. So what's Bearded Veteran saying? I damaged my neck when I was 18 and landed badly on an assault course when I was 24. My vertebrae crushed into each other, damaging the nerves. From time to time, my back goes in. I become an old man. Yeah, I don't know what it was that did mine, but when I realised I had sciatica, I obviously went to the doctors and got looked and checked upon. They did some sort of scans of my back, and they said, yeah, you've got a crushed disc here, and you've got this here, and blah, 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 blah. So, I think it's quite common in soldiers. Oh, I didn't bloody rub that down, you silly Billy Steve. Oh, dear. Can someone press reset? Please, someone press reset. There she is. Hopefully once the model's all together, it won't look like a piece of turd. Fingers crossed. But the topic that I wanted to talk about tonight, Critical Role. So what is Critical Role? Critical Role is a Dungeons and Dragons game that is played live every Thursday by 7 voice actors, and it's DM'd by a voice actor. So they're all very good at making very strange, cool voices. They've run 3 campaigns so far. They started back in 2015. Was that when I started watching? Yeah. Anyway, 2015. So they started back in 2015, and they're very, very good. They run a Dungeons and Dragons live stream show. That Dungeons and Dragons live stream show is awesome. If you've never watched Dungeons and Dragons live stream before, try it out. It's very, very good. There are lots of other channels as well that are very, very good, but that's probably the most biggest, well-known one out there. They're very entertaining. They're very comical. You can see that they have a genuine friendship. At the moment, they're on campaign 3. So campaign 1, the first one they ever did, was a group called Vox Machina. And Vox Machina, they were a band of ragtag heroes, and they fought a lot of dragons in that one. I won't go into too much detail just yet. Then we move on to the Mighty Nine. Mighty Nine had some very cool, interesting characters in that one. In fact, I think one of my favourite characters in that one. And now they're on Bell's Hells, which is the 3rd campaign. And they go off to a moon called Ruidus. I won't say again too much, because just in case you watch it and find it very good. But they're really, really cool. So I started watching a couple of years back, and kind of fell in love, and that's sort of solidified my love for Dungeons and Dragons. So I had this massive passion and burning passion to play Dungeons and Dragons all the time, but I didn't have the ability to do so because I didn't have enough. No, it wasn't actually time. It was probably enough opportunity to play. So, you know, what I then did is watched some as well, and I was just watching Critical Role, and that was a really, really nice experience to sort of learn a bit about role playing, because I hadn't really done much of that at all. It was very new to, or fairly new to, tabletop role-playing games. And I sort of got the idea of how to play with a group of friends, which was pretty sweet. I really, really, really enjoyed it. They've got plenty of merch now. They've grown into like this huge machine, this sort of corporate-ish type machine. And they're super cool. So if you've never watched a Dungeons & Dragons live stream, I would 100% advise you go and watch Critical Role, at least one of them, because they're very, very interesting. Very, very cool. What's we saying in here? Squarish is saying his bad back, because we've all got bad backs here on Minis-N-Muscles, but his bad back was a result of a mountain bike accident that destroyed his shoulder. Then ignoring the injury, so I just take a posting as an all-arms ATI. Oh yeah, so that's the version of PTI. So the army has a physical training instructor. All-arms ATI, is that a RAF thing? I don't know, tell me, Squarish. ATI, Adventure Training Instructor, I believe. But you'll tell me if I'm incorrect. But you're saying you're a big fan of Critical Role. It was a huge part of me getting into Dungeons & Dragons TTRPG. Yeah, so I stumbled across Campaign 1 whilst I was on YouTube one evening. And it just had me hooked. It's so cool to watch. I know it sounds really weird, but it's not as weird as young day kids watching the unwrapping of a bloody Easter egg or something stupid. You know, this is actually watching a TV show, and you watch these people, and to begin with, it was very sort of very crude. It's probably a bit like this, how I'm doing my live streams now. It wasn't particularly well produced or anything like that. It was really basic, but they were really genuine people. And they, you know, had this very imaginative storyline that was created by the Dungeon Master, Matt Mercer, who is, you know, not just a plethora of ideas does he have, but, you know, a sound effect and a voice for a million different things or characters. He is exceptionally good. Like, exceptionally good at storytelling. It's mind-blowing how... Sorry, I'm just cutting this off scene. You can't see. But he's exceptionally good at character creation, about voices and all the rest of it. He's so cool. Very, very good. But equally, the people that are on the show, so there's 7 characters, or 7 people, sorry, not characters, 7 people that are on the show. So you have Ashley Johnson. She plays Pike in campaign 1, who is a cleric, a gnome cleric. She's sort of the mother, feels like the mother of the group a bit, but she's very sweet as a character. She always forgets rules and things like that, and actually it's quite relatable because I always forget the rules. So it's like, yeah, I know your pain. So she forgets the rules, which is hilarious. You've got the Vox Machina, so campaign 1 you had the twins, Vex and Vax. So Vex and Vax were elves, twin elves that is, female and male. Vex was played by Laura Bailey, and Vax was played by Liam O'Brien. It was quite cool because they were very distinct, although they were brother and sister, and looked after each other in a very close way, because the family was, I don't want to put too many spoilers, but the family wasn't particularly nice, so they were very close as siblings. But they were also very distinctly different characters. What I loved about Vex is she was a money-orientated, bargain hunting, sort of a bit sassy queen, I think, actually. She was quite cool. And she was a ranger, a half-elf ranger. And she had a bear called Trinket as her familiar. So that was, or a pet, whatever you want to call it. So she was very cool, and her brother Vax, was half-elf rogue, and he was sort of the more quieter, sterner, sort of more logical thinking member. In fact, probably of the majority of the party, actually. Quite a serious type character he was, but played very, very well. Talking of our model, we've got this point here. So I was talking about different areas. When you're building these models, it's difficult to understand what to paint next and where to go. So as you're cutting these little bits out, and I've cut out a tiny little backpack here, I'm looking at that and thinking, well, if I put that on there and stick that, how am I going to paint those bits underneath? So actually, what I've got to do here is paint the bits underneath. So that is going to be needed to be done. So I'm going to need some silver. So let's get some sort of silver for... There's some very small little pipes on her back. Let's use my paintbrush here. Some very small little pipes. So I'm going to try and dry brush those. Just so it's quicker. Because I've already got the black underbase or basing. I can just dry brush over the top and it will make it look 3D. So that's quite cool. Aims out. I need to join the bad back crew. My bad back, I think, is from my gymnastics days. Lots of falls, but lots of fun. Okay, you are more than welcome to join the bad back crew. There's what, 3 of us now online tonight that have got bad backs, so welcome. Any more for any more? Do we have any more takers on bad backs? So chat, if you're out there, you've got a bad back, or just scrolling through this video, and you've got a bad back, why don't you tell us all about it? How did you get your bad back? And what ailments do you have now? So what I'm doing now is just doing this little edging of the backpack, just so I can make this look nice before I slap that down. Yeah, Vax is a very cool rogue, but very serious at the same time. It wasn't until sort of later games, actually, that I was watching Liam O'Brien and how he plays his characters. He's quite a serious player, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that as in serious, he just loves the game. So it's quite funny. You see people that play the game, I think, like your Ashley Johnson of Critical Role, she probably plays it more for fun. That's certainly how it feels. Whereas Liam plays it because it's an absolute passion of his. So he plays it, I think, more properly. He doesn't play a sort of comical role. Well, that'd be very good to see, actually. And I'm sure he could do a comical role because he is a voice actor. So I'm sure he has. And he does, I think he's done some other acting as well, actually. Like stage and things like that. So I'm sure he has the ability to do this in a comical way. That would be quite interesting just to see. So let's just get this silver on here. I'm not being too worried about going over at the moment because I've got to go over certain areas and redo it. So again, you can, when you're doing these first sort of tones and colours, don't feel immediately precious about, you know, having a little bit of overspill. For example, in a minute, before I paint this cloak that she's wearing, because that's red, it doesn't matter if I paint a little bit of silver over the edge. Not a problem at all. What we're saying in chats. Do you have a favourite voice? James is saying, do you have a favourite voice character you do when you DM or play? Oh, that's a great question. Do I have a favourite character voice? In one of my homebrew campaigns, for the characters, they went to a shop and they met a goblin that ran a shop, sort of alchemy type based shop with potions and lotions and things like that. And the goblin character's name was Gizzit, as in Gizzit here. And he was a sort of crazy, sort of wired character that didn't really say too many words in one sentence. It was pretty thick, but comical nonetheless. So he was quite a fun character to voice for the group. That was quite a good one. When I played characters, I said from the start of my stream that I love playing dwarves. I'm just getting the red ready, by the way, to do her cape. The red for this one is going to be Mephiston red, just in case you have the question. In terms of playing characters, I think I said before, I loved playing Dwim Ironhammer in one of my tag games. So Tactical Advanced Game, the subdivision of Game Therapy UK. So we did therapeutic gaming for veterans and current serving personnel. And I played a character called Dwim Ironhammer in that. A dwarf fighter who was very, very stupid. I rolled for my stats and got a 5, and I stuck that in intelligence. So he got some really poor stats, but it was actually quite fun to play a really, really thick character. So that was quite nice. And that was a sort of gruff Scottish voice. I don't know why all dwarves have to be of a Celtic nature, but they seem to sort of take that role quite well. What's Billy Vetch saying? Sounds like a good topic for muscle moments. The importance of warming up, warming down. Yes, I think probably that will be something that we need to talk about on muscle moments. Maybe not today, but well, maybe we could talk about that. Actually, sorry, yeah, we'll talk about that for muscle moment. We'll talk all about warming up, warming down, although we might not have enough time to cover that today, just because we started the stream late. So I don't want to be going until midnight just to cover that off, but we'll see. When I'm painting this red on, because it's watered down not watered down, but because it's thinned down as it's in my wet palette, you'll see that the black comes through every now and then. So just beware of that. But because you're doing it in really thin coats, it means that you can put multiple layers on, right? So don't panic if that happens. You're like, oh my god, I can see all the black coming through. Absolutely fine. Don't worry. It's not a problem. So just make sure you're getting all the bits and bobs here. And sometimes it's quite difficult to know which area is which. So like this bit here, I'll put a little dob on there, look there, that bit. That is actually the darker red because that's the inside of her cloak. So what I'm going to have to do is just run this red really close to the edge, so you've got like an overlip here, overhang. So if I just paint that on this brighter red, then I can do the other side in the darker red. That looked really nice actually. The bottom side of this cloak, you've got like a raised part here in the middle. It's almost like a separator. And the separator is in white and the base is in red. So we just need to continue along the base, giving it that lovely bright Mephiston red. So in Vox Machina, who else is in the party? So we talked about Pike, Trickfoot, Vex and Vax. So we've got our Gnome Cleric, we've got our Half-Elf Ranger and Half-Elf Rogue. Who else is in the party? So there is a Goliath. A Goliath is a sort of a gigantic sized, it's humanoid as in person, but they're just absolutely huge. And they had a Goliath named Grog Strongjaw. He was hilarious. Grog Strongjaw was played by Travis Willingham. And it's hard to say who my favourite was, but I absolutely loved so many of Grog's moments. Grog was a little bit of inspiration for my character Dwim, although I didn't intentionally roll low for his intelligence. I just thought, oh sod it, because he's got really terrible intelligence, I'll make him a bit like that. And Grog was also a very low, although he had I think intelligence of 8. He was a low intelligence character, and it's quite funny seeing these low intelligence characters play out. But he used to say such stupid but lovable stupid things. I mean, everyone's had that character, right, where they say really silly things, but it's just bloody brilliant. And Grog was one of those, and he was a barbarian, so he was all the muscles of the party, going in, throwing people about, and giving them the good news with his axe. And there was a great storyline in Critical Role where they actually had Grog pick up a enchanted axe, or a cursed axe actually. Again, don't want to go too deep into it in case any of you watch it, but that was hilarious. Oh, I don't know what colour to do the inside of that. See here on this model, you've got the outside of the cloak there on her arm, and then it goes to the inside. I think I'm probably going to have to do the inside the same colour as the back of the cloak that we've done here. That sort of, oh sugar, I'm out of camera. That back darker red rather than this sort of brighter red. So we'll go with that in a minute. We've got in the chat. Well, come on, Steve. Don't leave us in suspenders. Let's hear your Gizzit voice. Oh, crikey. Gizzit Culk. He was... Oh, no, it wasn't Gizzit. It was Jitters. Oh, my lord. Gizzit is a character I played. My lord. I'm getting my names muddled up. I do this all the time. His name was Jitters, was the name of the character. So the goblin that was in the alchemy shop I mentioned, it was Jitters, and he was called Jitters because he had a stutter and would shake. So it was like I'm trying to think now. So the party have not been to that city for a little while. Actually, they've kind of left him behind. But I wanted him to be a sort of go back to type character where they could constantly go back to his shop and have some sort of funny interactions with him. But Jitters, yes, Jitters was his name. What was his voice? I think it was something like it was just some sort of silly little Jitters, and he used to talk like that the whole time. And it just sort of a funny little squeaky goblin voice. He never used to talk in proper sentences. That was correct that I said. But yeah, he was a funny character. And the party actually, well, I think they did, but the party seemed to take to him quite well. And that was the idea, really. Like, when I build out my home games, I try to put in things that the characters can either relate to or can sort of fall back on, or revisit because it's a nice memory or whatever. What's Squarish saying? Grog has to be one of my favourites. The clip of Pike trying to teach him to spell is awesome. Yes. So, as Squarish said there, Grog is pretty stupid and he can't spell his name. So Pike, the gnome cleric, takes being a cleric, and being a follower of faith. She spends some time teaching Grog how to write his name, which is sweet and endearing, but also hilarious as well at the same time. Oh yeah, and he had a funny voice as well. Grog was like, oh, that sort of. I can't do his voice, but oh, Pike, that kind of big, silly, sort of dumb voice, but the most lovable dumb person ever. It was brilliant. Yeah, so I'd love to have a go at proper roleplay, but it appears to be hard to find people that want to do it and commit to role-playing characters as well. Yes, true. So it comes down to your session 0 and your DM. So your DM has to try and find out what people are in the game for. Are people just in the game to split heads and kill things and find treasure? If they are, then you're going to have to accommodate them, right? I am lucky because the group that I DM for here in my man cave, they love to RP. So actually, I've given them too much combat recently, so I've tried to take it out, and I even stole a session from Critical Role. Sorry, Matt Mercer. Well, thank you, Matt Mercer, actually. So one of the more recent things they were doing in Campaign 3 is they visited a character and they got sent to a different realm. And in this different realm they had tests, and the test was all about sort of bringing the group together. I think it was it teamwork, something, and honesty were the 3 challenges that they had to go through. Basically, I stole the 3 challenges and put them into my group. The reason why I did that is because these challenges were actually, they're more designed at roleplay. And my group really, really loved roleplay, and they were like, oh, it's a bit too combat heavy at the moment, so I had to sort of tone the combat down, take them out of the dungeon, or that dungeon crawl environment, and just allow them to chat and talk amongst each other. So when they're going from place to place now, I make sufficient pauses and I wait for them, because I know that, character A is going to talk to character B and vice versa. So it's quite difficult to get that squeezed in, Bearded Veteran, because you just might not have the group that wants to do that, and then you're stuffed, right? If your group don't want to do it, they don't want to do it, and you'll never get them to do it. But it is possible. All right, just looking at the picture of the model that I'm painting, so I'm making sure I'm getting it all right. But I think I am so far. And if not, that's okay. It can be wrong. It's not a big drama. So what else is going on in chat? Bit of saying, although I think James and myself are slowly easing into role-playing our characters on our Tuesday tag game. Yeah, so it's also encouragement. What I found when, playing tabletop role-playing games, you've got to encourage people. So I do a lot of travel abroad for work, and I went to the US, and I found a local game store in the evening that was running a Dungeons and Dragons session. I just joined in. So it was a one-shot Adventurers League, and I just went there and joined in. And nobody else was doing voices apart from me. I was doing a voice, but then as the longer we played, the more people would then try. And they were like, oh, okay, I'll give that a go. That guy's, you know, not afraid to try and do it. So if you just keep doing that, you may find that the group you're playing with, you know, eases up a little bit and they think, oh, well, you know, I'll try that now. Because sometimes it's nerves, right? Not everyone wants to do a stupid voice in someone because hey, it's not cool and they feel like they'll be embarrassed and, you know, they'll laugh. Someone will laugh at them for doing a silly voice. You know, so what? It doesn't really matter, but people do get upset about that. So it's not like, you know, watching Critical Role where these guys are doing, this is their day job. You know, they do voices day in, day out for cartoons and movies and all the rest of it. We're just Joe Schmoes and we're just having a good laugh. Also helps if your group knows each other. That will come over time if you're in a new group, or if you get together because you're all at work or something, you already know each other, so it'd be easier to do it. But it will happen. Just slip it in every now and then, and people will start to follow suit, and they'll start to be, oh yeah, okay, yeah, they're doing that, I'll join too. Squarish saying, I'm always up for leaning more into the role play in our campaign. If you are, always talking to a bearded veteran. I'm in the same view, but didn't want to jump in it too heavy with it. Bearded veteran saying he's well up for it, and he said one of the Squarish is saying one of the reasons I enjoy Candela and Nathan's Aliens is as it's more role play focused. Bearded veteran, I haven't tried Aliens, but I think if we can get the guys to do it in Candela, that would be epic given how different our characters are. So Candela is really, I think, is more roleplay driven, as a more roleplay driven tabletop RPG. There are elements of dice rolling in it, of course there are, but I do think it's heavy on roleplay. So, you know, try to encourage your buddies and who's playing in your groups to participate if they're good with that, because I think that's a big part of Candela Obscura, man, because it's very investigative rather than just right, here's your mission, go here, do that, kill. It's like find this, find that. So it's really I think it would benefit from a roleplay driven group, but harder said than done, right? How do you get you guys to follow suit? Encouragement, leading from the front, and not being afraid to make a dick of yourself, I think is probably the easiest way to do that. So I was saying, I know my brother is up for more roleplay in Candela. The decision run outside tag is very roleplay heavy. I think he's the same as me, not wanting to jump full force and roleplay in case others are not too keen. Yeah, you've just got to be careful not to upset people, because people get very upset quickly or put off quickly if all of a sudden they're having to do voices and they're having to do this and that and everything else. Encourage but don't enforce. Let's go for it then, especially if we're going to make more of a campaign. Yeah, do it, man. Do it. You guys should definitely do it. I 100% recommend it. Even if it's just you guys to begin with that are sort of running on that, on that sort of RP side and no one else is, they'll soon join. Trust me. When they start seeing you guys having some crazy ass conversation between your two characters, which is ultimately a barrel of laughs, right? They'll want to be part of that, or they'll want their character to have that same experience. It's a bit like fear of missing out, isn't it? So they'll come round, trust me. As long as you don't make the roleplay too weird or anything like that, they'll definitely come round. So we're slapping on the red here. Again, we haven't even built the model yet, but getting the red in place and getting these areas covered is just quite handy in advance, because otherwise you end up building a model and you can never get to the right bit, or you miss a bit off. And I know we'll always be able to get to this hat or cowl here, but if the red's out, just use it. That's my thoughts. There we go. So we're talking about Critical Role and talking about characters. The last one we mentioned was Grog Strongjaw, crikey, now I forgot. This is where I forget words. The half giant, what are they bloody called? Anyway, the barbarian. So we got him. We got Pike Trickfoot, the little gnome cleric. You've got Vex and Vax, the half-elf twins, ranger and rogue. You also have Keyleth. Keyleth, the druid, elf druid. Was she half-elf? Ooh. She might have been half-elf, actually. I think she was. So you've got Keyleth, the half-elf druid. She was very cool. She was played by Marisha Ray. So she is the... I should have mentioned, actually, Travis Willingham, who was Grog Strongjaw, is the husband of Laura Bailey, who is Vex. Now, Keyleth of the Ayrshire is played by Marisha Ray. Marisha Ray is the wife of Matt Mercer, the DM. So you can see how this group formed when this first started playing. And Keyleth is a bit of a ditzy but fun and lovable druid. She made so many crazy spell mistakes, and I think one of the and in a good way, in a funny way, not in like a oh my god she was rubbish, just in a funny, amusing way. One of them was she could change herself into animals, right? I'm trying to keep this simple for people that don't play D&D, but she could change herself into animals as a spell. Now, they were on top of a cliff, and I think the cliff was like 100 feet high or something. And the way the DM described it was like, right, at the bottom of the cliff there is water, but you know, you're at 100 feet up. And she was like, oh, okay, great. And she jumped off, and she just said it before she thought about it. So, right, I'm jumping off, and I change into a fish, and I jump into the water. And the DM's like, are you sure you want to do that? And she's like, yeah, I do it. And he's like, right, okay. You take, and as she jumped down, she took a load of damage because she was 100 foot up and she just jumped straight into the water. And she's a fish. So the fish don't have a lot of hit points, so she killed herself by jumping into the water. It was rather amusing. But Keyleth was very much like that sort of ditzy kind of funny kind of character. But she was very, very good. And I liked some of her abilities. She had a very cool ability where she could teleport the group from place to place. And the way she did that is through trees. So she would open a portal through a tree, and as long as she knew a tree where the place she was going, she could open the portal in the other tree. So as long as she knew where two trees were, she'd go between the two. Oh, excuse me. It's absolutely brilliant. I love that spell. I think it's very cool. Goliath, that's the word. Well done, Squarish. Well done. No, not half-orc, bearded veteran, but Goliath. So well done. James likes to change into animals. We did an epic escape mid-fight when he changed into a horse, and I jumped him back and fled. See, that's awesome. I love stuff like that. I genuinely love when you have a bit of sort of improvisation of sorts that sort of changes the narrative. I absolutely love that. In my games, when things like that happen, I award inspiration, because I think it's important to incentivize your players to think of constructive ways. And again, that could be another way that your DM inspires people to join the RP brigade, right? So join in this role playing a little bit more. So if they do something cool, have the, pre-prep the DM, whoever the DM is, and then the DM says, oh my god, that was brilliant, that was so funny, I absolutely love it. I'm giving you inspiration for that. An inspiration for anyone that doesn't play D&D, it just means that you get to roll twice on something, or roll another dice. So it just helps out. Just add in a bit more to this cloak at the top. It's a very cool figure though, I like this one. Yeah, I do like it, she looks very cool. Looking forward to seeing this painted and finished. By the way, next week I won't carry on with this figure. I will do our Ghost Dragon. That will be starting next week. As I said, I was a naughty boy and didn't finish what I should have finished this week and got it all sorted. So, hey, hold my hands up. My bad. James Squarish is saying I have a habit of using wild shape for utility rather than combat. Yeah, but that's not a problem though, dude. That's absolutely, you know, especially if you're trying to drive the roleplay narrative and make things more roleplay orientated. Yeah, absolutely. Do that. And just because you get combat and you've got no spells, so what? You've always got your staff or, you know, XYZ weapon or whatever. I think that's good, you know. And again, if I was your DM and you did something like that, so you sacrificed all your spells for utility whilst you were on the investigation of whatever that was what you were trying to achieve, and you got to the big bad and you were fighting it, you know, you would by that point you would have been given, before you got to the big bad, inspiration for doing so. Or you might have had a different reward of some sorts. Because it's all about, like, what I love about the roleplay element is, and this is what Critical Role do so well, is it encourages conversation. Why do we play tabletop role-playing games? Not only because they're cool as fuck and we all have a bit of a geeky fantasy kind of enjoyment, and by fantasy I don't mean dirty, I mean fantasy as in you like the thematic setting of the fantasy environment, but we do it to play games with people we like, or people that have a similar interest to us. So what better way to play with these individuals than in a role-playing environment where you can just muck around as these different characters? It's bloody brilliant. Why wouldn't you want to do that? So yeah, I'm fully down on that. Fully down. Got a little bit of that darker red on that, just because that's going to be on the inside. Do we want darker red on? In fact, yes, we do. So we're going to go darker red on all the edges of the robes, as in the bottom hanging edges. So including down the bottom here. Oh, just bring it back into camera. Down the bottom here. Let's put this across. There we go. Let's get that little run over bit as well. There we are. And we've also got this sort of swooping edge that comes across where a cape's sort of coming around the back of her leg. Let's get that in the darker colour, or the darker red. Go. Yeah, so back on our characters of campaign 1 for Critical Role. Next character we have Taliesin Jaffe, who plays a character called Percy. Percy, his surname is like Van Musel Kowalski III or something like that. It's like a really long posh sort of hoity-toity type surname, and he sort of rattles it off in you know, a show of importance every now and then in front of other sort of non-player characters. It's like Kowalski von Musel van de Rolo III, or something like that. It's a bloody brilliant in the way he does it as well. He just rattles it off the tongue. And it sounds so funny. It's very good. So Percy is oh crikey, what, I've forgotten what class Percy plays? Was it an Artificer? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a gunslinger. So he plays a gunslinger. So Percy's like an inventor, and he invented in this world. He invented like flintlock pistols, that kind of thing. So he has like the very first prototype of flintlock pistol in this realm. So he uses those. It's very cool. So he's a really interesting character. And he plays a lot in a lot of the subplot. Well, all the characters have elements of the plot focused on them, but actually Percy probably does a little bit more so, because a lot. Well, I don't want to reveal too much, but a lot revolves around his past. So watch and find out. But yeah, he is a very funny character. I like how Taliesin plays Percy. He's this sort of pompous, stuck-up kind of I know better than you kind of posh git. But then you see the character sort of slip, his facade slip, not in a bad way, but in a purposeful way, that he's meaning to do that, so you can see the sort of vulnerable sides of Percy and his true nature of actually being a kind individual, right? But that's very, very cool. I liked Percy as a character a lot. I thought he was nice. Let's change the music up. Where are we going to go? Let's try the Oasis. Oh, there we go. It's crazy music. Yeah. What other characters do we have in campaign 1? So we got my favourite. I say my favourite. They're all very good. But played by Sam Riegel, Scanlan Shortholt, a gnome bard. Sam Riegel plays this character so bloody well. He's absolutely hilarious with it. And it's between Grog for me. It's between Grog and Scanlan for my favourite characters out of campaign 1. Absolutely hilarious. So every show that Critical Role do, when they open up and do their introductions, which I didn't do today, so I didn't say welcome to the place where the brawn meets the brush, which I should do, because I should do that in every episode. But what Sam Riegel does is he opens the episode and does an advert. So if there's ever any adverts, paid for adverts of companies that wanted to advertise their services on Critical Role, he does the advert for that, and they're freaking hilarious. He portrays one of my favourite characters of all time. Burt Reynolds is the bandit, so I like him for that. He just does all these silly sort of advertisements. But the character Scanlan Shortholt is this sort of roguish, not in the sense of the class rogue, but roguish as in a sort of naughty kind of cheeky bard, all tongue-in-cheek, everything he says. Loves women, will chat women up, will chat men up, and is just there to have a good time. But it's nice to see his character develop throughout the campaign as, some of his backstory comes to life. And again, I don't want to say too much in case you guys go to watch it. But he has some really monumental parts of his life picked up in the backstory and added to the campaign, so that's really nice. And again, it's just a subtle hint from the DM, just dropping in every now and then a little bit for this character, a little bit for that character. And for your home games, if you're playing home games, it's well worth it. Getting your players to write you a backstory can be a pain in the arse, because players won't want to do it. They're like, I don't write backstories. I say, well, tough tit, you are writing a backstory because I need one. And just make them write it, even if it's only literally something really short. As long as you've got something in there, generally speaking, even if they said, I had a girlfriend when I was 10 and she left me, whatever it is out of your character's backstory, you can take that and you can, you could bring that character in. So what you could do is the group could then meet that girlfriend, you know, that character's girlfriend from when he was 10 years old, and he's met her again, and she's this, I don't know, beautiful sorcerer, and she takes control of the character that she met many moons ago. She tries some mind control over him, becomes a baddie, you know, and then he has this sort of moral dilemma about fighting the love of his life as a child, you know. So it's a good way to do it. And again, awesome part on the Dungeon Master, Matt Mercer, just by feeding these in all the time. And you'll find that whatever campaign you watch of Critical Role, you'll find that he does that all the time, and I bloody love it. I think it's so good. Just keeps your players invested. Yeah, but he's a very funny character. Oh, Percival Frederickstein von Musel Kolowski de Rolo the Third. Oh, not the second, the third, I think. But yes, very, very funny. What's Bearded Veteran saying? He's saying, we also got to witness what a DM looks like when they realise a group is going in completely opposite direction to all the planes ahead. Yeah, happens all the time. So my home campaign, I wrote all this stuff for Neverwinter, and I didn't expect my party to leave Neverwinter. I've got loads of stuff written for it. What did they do? Leave town. So they've gone to another city. So I've had to research and work out what's going on in that city in Baldur's Gate. And then oh no, they've not got to Baldur's Gate yet. They've got to Waterdeep. And so I've had to do stuff in Waterdeep, but their plan and their mission is to go to Baldur's Gate. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy, because all my stuff I wrote was in Neverwinter. So I know the pain when a party goes somewhere that you just don't have anything planned for. It's hugely frustrating, but it does make you think on your feet. So it's quite nice. Saying, the 4-hour-long videos have always put me off Critical Role, but I do enjoy Roll Britannia, which is part of the reason I got into Roleplay Strategy. Yeah, Roll Britannia, for those of you who don't know, I like the UK version of Critical Role. I was very fortunate enough to meet the Roll Britannia crew at... Crikey, what was it? It's not Comic Con. One of the cons anyway. Earlier this year. Lovely bunch, really lovely bunch. So hopefully they're going to be doing something with TAG, that Tactical Advanced to Game, the sub part of the UK charity Game Therapy UK. Hopefully they'll do something with us later in the year. They did say they would, so I shall hold them to that, the buggers. But they're very, very good. So I have to agree with you there. They do some great. They do some great content online. But the 4-hour sessions, yeah, they are long. There is an app called Beacon, which Critical Role have released, and of course it's a subscription. Everything is a subscription nowadays. But they do have a shorter version of abridged version of each episode. So it does take a while to get through. So if you need to catch up, or you haven't done this or haven't checked on that or whatever, it does take a while to catch up, and it can be a very daunting thing, you know, looking at a live stream and it's 4 hours long and you're like, oh shit. But once you start, I don't think you'll be able to stop. That's my guess, because it is very good. And it doesn't always feel like 4 hours when you're watching, listening, blah, blah, blah. You can watch it on YouTube, you can listen. They have them on Spotify. So if you want to listen instead of watch, you can listen on Spotify. It's a great way to do it. These guys are real talented as well, so you don't miss a huge amount by just listening to it. I'd say it's just as good listening to it as just as audio as it is to watching it. I mean, granted, you might not get the body reaction, or they might laugh at something because of a facial reaction of a character or something. but 9 times out of 10 you get everything that they're talking about, and it makes perfect sense. So that's always worth doing. But they are long. Break them down. You know, don't expect or try to do them all in one go. Break it down, take your time and enjoy it. That's what this is about, right? If I paint up here in my man cave, I'll stick it on in the background and just listen to it whilst I'm painting. Because it's quite nice just to listen to a little story like that. And I also think of it as well as like, I love all those sort of fantasy type stories, whether it's Lord of the Rings or Labyrinth. I love all of that. And Critical Role gives me extra, because you would never get a 4-hour version of Labyrinth, let alone 100 episodes of 4 hours. So it's very, very good. Have I got all the characters? So I did Pike, we did Vex and Vax, we did Grog, we did Keyleth, we did Scanlan, we did Percy. Yeah, so we've got them all. That is the party. They met loads of cool... And we also talked about Trinket the Bear, which is Vex's companion. A very sweet bear that follows her around. And that's quite nice to see as well. Or to hear and to listen to and to watch. Yes, so I do like that very much. It's an awesome show. And that was campaign 1. I don't want to go into too much detail on. Just in case, I just feel like if someone then watches it, or I say something and someone's watching it, I spoil it. It's a bit sucky, isn't it? But they get up to some right stupid stuff. They always end up having a shopping episode where a good party's got all this money that they want to spend, just like players that I have at my table. You know, we did a shopping episode a little while back, as in, and what I mean by shopping episode, for those that are new to Dungeons & Dragons, is when the party have come back from a certain task, mission, quest, and they have all this money in their pocket. It's like kids in a sweet shop. They want to go spend it. So, they want to go to the nearest shop and find the biggest, baddest weapon, or the most awesome trinket buy item. I mean, not like the bear. They want to find the most awesome trinket, or they want to find this or that. And actually, it's another good opportunity for roleplay. So, DMs allow your players to have these shopping episodes to A, plan out the next quest and where they're going to go and what they're going to do, and B, just to give them an opportunity to talk together in character so they can start to learn a little bit about each other. So that's a really good little tip if you can get your players to do that. And those that are sort of less vocal, they might only be happy with saying, I don't know, oh yeah, I'll go to this shop and I'll go with that person. Send them with a chatty one. And then get the chatty one, or sort of maybe pre-nudge the chatty one to see if they could entice them into a conversation. Yeah. So that was campaign 1, Vox Machina, Critical Role. That was very cool. So as I said, I started getting into it a couple of years back. Not when it started at all. I mistakenly said 2015 or 2016, but I meant that's when they started, not when I started watching them. So I watched a couple of years ago, and I'm on campaign 3 now. So I've done the first two campaigns. I'm sort of episode 80 odd of campaign 3. So I'm fairly knee deep in it, and it's still very good. I would say for me the campaign 3 is not as good as campaign 1 or 2. I'm not sure why, but it's just kind of lost a little bit. It feels like it's lost a bit of magic. I don't know whether it's overproduction, because now they're a big company that make a lot of money, got loads of merch. I collect a lot of the merch myself. That feels slightly overproducted. Not that that's a bad thing, I suppose, because it's still very watchable. It just doesn't feel as watchable as the others. I quite liked the sometimes shitty audio you'd get from the other one. It was quite nice. Yeah. So, it very much influenced how I've played D&D and how I've thought about doing it. Whether it's voices, or whether it's trying to get people to join in, as the guys in the chat were saying. Talking to chat, Scrooge saying, I love the clips of Matt Mercer grabbing a thick pile of notes and tearing them in half when the group is circumnavigate part of the plot. Yeah. Like that, it is kind of heartbreaking sometimes when you write so much and put a lot of time and effort into a game. Sometimes I don't think people realise like how much time and effort you put into making a game for someone. So the DM spends, like at the moment I DM all the time and I don't play games as a character. And as a DM you can spend so many hours preparing to try and make it, like whenever I play I try to make it the best possible experience that a player can have, because I'm a people pleaser and I like to make sure that people have a good time, right? And the way to do that is for me is to say, right, how was that? How did it go? What did you like? What did you not like? Try to get feedback all the time off the players. So after my games end, my players probably hate me because I'm like, hey, and I send them a DM and I'm like, how was that? How did it go? What happened here? What happened there? You know, and I quiz them a little bit on the session. So hopefully they don't hate me for that. It's just to try and make it the best, because I just love it and I want people to enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying playing the game with them, you know. So that's the reason for it. Whether they see that reason in the same light as I do, I don't know. But... Right, she's coming along slowly, our sister here. She's looking pretty good. She's getting there, so she's got her nice cloak on the back. It's very cool, actually. That's one thing I love about Sisters of Battle. They do look smart. So, Campaign 2 of Critical Role. That is the Mighty Nine characters. What characters do we have in there? Right, first of all, I've got to say it. My favourite, possibly my favourite character of all time, out of all the campaigns that Critical Role have done, is a character from Campaign 2. And that is Jester, played by Laura Bailey. Absolutely the funniest character ever. She's a tiefling. Oh crikey, what is she? Tiefling cleric. Doesn't do a lot of healing, but she does loads of cool utility spells. There's some absolutely fantastic role play in there. One where, again, not too many spoilers, but where she tricks a big bad with an absolute insane thing you would never have realised. Tricks them with some food that had a spell on it. So funny. But the character is like this sort of chaotic, crazy teenager that hasn't got a lot of life experience. So when she's going out doing stuff, she doesn't realise that what she's doing is wrong, and she follows this sort of fake god. And you know, it's an absolute crazy character, but so lovable. My favourite character of any of the campaigns. Absolutely brilliant. So while Speedy Veteran saying, oh Steve, that means you confirm how much James looks like Paul that plays Maurus. Oh! Yeah. Do you think? I don't know. Crikey, let's think. No, I don't think so, no. Does a bit, but I don't think completely. A little bit. Maybe it's just the beard. Maybe it's the sort of shaggy beard, because James and Paul have got a beard, right? Yeah, I think it's probably that. Squarish says he started on campaign 2, still my favourite. Currently on 40-ish of campaign 3. So you've never done campaign 1? That's a great campaign, dude. Or does it mean you started on 2, went to 1, now on 3? When the players miss part of what I've planned, I just hold on to it for future campaigns. Yeah, fair one. You can always hold on to stuff, right? It's never completely wasted. It's just a frustration. Is anyone else going to Telford this year? What's at Telford this year, dude? What's happening in Telford? I used to live in Telford. Well, based up in Telford anyway. Or that way. Didn't really like it. I'm not going to lie. Sorry anyone that's in the Midlands. Shouldn't say that. I didn't really like Telford much. I thought it was a bit of a crap hole, really. So what is in Telford? What's going on? Is it an event? I take it it's an event. And that's what you're referring to. So what I'm doing now on this model is I've just overshot a little bit. And some of the colours I'm just bringing back the black. Just so that when I glue on the next bit I'm not going to cover anything up or miss anything. Right, okay, so she's at that point there. I reckon we might be able to... Could we stick on that back piece? Let's have a look. So if we stick on that there, what don't we have? Okay, so we just need to tidy up the back here. Which is a bit of black, which is easy. What's Telford? The biggest annual scale modelling show in the country. What show is that called? Squarish is saying, my friend recommended starting on campaign 2. I've caught campaign 1 from watch series on Amazon. Ah, right, okay. The Amazon cartoon of Vox Machina is good. Doesn't cover all the bits though. You do miss a fair amount because obviously, you know, there's a lot. I think there's 110 episodes. Like we're saying, of 4 hours at a time, and you can't capture that into, you know, a 20-minute Amazon cartoon series. However, it is a good way of taking it at speed. So if anyone, and that brings me to our next point about Critical Roles, what else do they branch into? So they do a TV series, animated TV series on Amazon Prime, which is called Vox Machina. The Mighty Nine is soon to come out, I think. I've seen some artwork for that, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so that's soon to come out to Prime, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. That would be really, really good. So that's a cool cartoon. Sorry, I'm looking forward to the Mighty Nine. I've already seen both Season 1 and Season 2 of Vox Machina. But they need to do a Season 3 yet, I believe. I don't know when that's out. I'm not sure, so they seem to do it a little bit disjointed. They do lots of things, loads of other merch as well, like comic books. So I've collected all the comic books, I've got those. I've got all the original art books from like 2016 or so. So I've got a lot of the stuff that they've released. I've even got all like the Funkos, the, you know, the little big bobblehead models. I've got those. I like to collect those. So yeah, Bearded Veteran. You're saying about that biggest annual scale modelling show in the country. It's called the International Plastic Modellers Society Scale Modelling Show. It fills up 3 halls in the Telford International Centre. So what is there? So for me, I don't really do things like Airfix. I don't really do things other than Warhammer models and D&D models, to be fair. So if that was there, I would be interested in going, to be blunt and frank. If it's not there, would I be interested in going? Probably not. Just because it's, you know, not that I dislike model trains or anything like that, or Airfix or something, but it's not my go-to, so I just wouldn't be inclined to go up to Telford just for that, you know. So here, just to get that little zip down the centre, so you can see that zip there now. I don't know if it's a zip actually, but the detailing anyway. I just used I got some grey on my brush, and then I sort of brushed it off and went for a bit of a dry brush approach. Very light stroke straight up and just cover the lot. And because it's undercoated black, you get that 3D look. Right, these are difficult though. These are always tough. These little silver sort of notches. So with this one, when you've got small detail like this, you need a little bit of excess paint on your paintbrush, but the reason is because it runs off. But you've got to be so careful, and you've got to be really light on your paint on your brush touching the model in the right part. So you've got this excess paint on the end of your brush end, but because you've got excess, it runs off really easy. Can you see that there? So you can see those small dots, literally tiny little dots. I'm just going to take it from a different angle now, because when you do it at some angles, you don't quite get the paint in all the right places. So what you've got to do is you've just got to attack the model from a different side. Went over slightly on one, but there you go. See her little shiny dots there? She's got a couple over on her right sleeve as well. These ones are slightly bigger, so just because they're slightly bigger doesn't mean that they're easier. This here is a grenade, so that's got some standout sections on it, so we can colour those. I think it was a Sisters of Battle. They're kind of like limited colours as well, which is quite nice, but also quite difficult, because really you've only got 3 colours on these buggers. You've only got silver, black, and red. Well, if you're painting them in accordance with this type of Sisters of Battle. So this is the Our Lady Martyr, I believe, colour scheme. You can paint them in a variety of different colour schemes. There's about 4 main ones though. Order of the Sacred Rose is all red. Then you've got a couple of other different orders. So there is one order that's like all white or sort of creamy coloured. They look really cool. And you've got this sort of black with a little bit of red on. I mean, they're all cool, but yeah. So, Bearded Veteran saying in chat, everything scaling, modelling, models for heroes, vendors for everything, modelling related, scale modelling, group displays, sig displays, basically if it's a modelling related, it's there. Oh, okay. I don't know if I'm going personally, and I don't know if I'll be attending on behalf of Tactical Advanced to Game. I don't think we've even got that in the calendar actually on the charity side. I don't think we're even aware of that one. It's quite often we get invited to stuff, and that's how I end up going to these things. But just trying to get a little bit of detail. We just went over a little bit on that. It's all right. We can touch it up. Not a problem. So what we got there, so that is not, I'm just trying to look at, what I'm looking at here is as I'm looking down, I'm looking at some of the highlighting and colours that they've used on the current model. I've got a little bit of a gap as well on some of this, so sometimes when you put a model together they don't quite fit. You get a teeny weeny little bit of a gap. We might have to fill that with a bit of green stuff. Green stuff is Like a, well, it's like a, you can either have a liquid putty or it's like a putty where you put two variants together. But either way, it's green. And it's for modelling. So you can bridge gaps and things like that with it, which is quite nice. As long as you're gentle with it and don't slather the paint on too much. Alright, so what we've got here. So just going to try and get some of these very little minute edgings on. There we go. Because once this side is done, because this is the back of the jump pack, or the, it's not a jump pack actually, it's just the back of her. I don't know if this is like, I don't know, lore wise, is this, these backpacks help them breathe or something, or carry ammo? I'm not sure. I don't know everything about Warhammer, but maybe someone will jump in the chat and tell me. Once I do the back side of these, I can then glue the backpack on and then do the front. I just thought it'd be easier to do these now whilst it's off the character itself. It's on Remembrance Weekend, and the Sunday they invite all the veterans to the stand on the mezzanine balcony together at 11 AM and a bugle plays like, oh, that's very nice. That's cool. I like the fact that they do that. That's very nice. That's a very cool little trick they do. So what else is people doing for the weekend, by the way, guys? What have you got any plans for the weekend? So I was talking about campaign 2 for Critical Role. So we spoke about Jester, the lovable, crazy character Jester, played by Laura Bailey. Absolutely awesome character. So funny. And again, I just like to laugh, and that character just made me laugh multiple times. When you're sort of escaping from daily stresses of work or whatever it is, and you know, you can turn something on and have a laugh with it. That's quite a powerful thing. So I liked her character a lot. Who else have we got in campaign 2? He says as he racks his brain and tries to take himself back to campaign 2. So you have Marisha Ray plays a character called Beauregard, who is a monk, a badass fighting monk, sort of this butch beastie kind of monkey chick who's proper kick-ass, but she's very, very funny. No, sorry, she's not very, very funny. She's very, very cool is what I was meant to say. Bit more of a quieter character in that campaign. There was elements of stuff, but she wasn't like a brash, all-out character like Jester is. She was a bit more quieter, to be fair. But she was sort of the moody kind of kick-ass kind of butch chick kind of vibe. But she was quite cool. She had some awesome moves as well. Because obviously different classes in D&D have different spells, different abilities to be able to do... Oh God, I keep going out of camera, sorry guys. To be able to do different bits and bobs. God, I'm losing my voice. That's not good. It's not definitely not good because I fly to America next week for work. And I need my voice for that. I'm a singing professional, don't you know? No, I'm not a singing professional. Just tidied that up. Right, okay, so I think we've got enough of the back of that done that we can now glue this onto the back of our model. Crikey, I've just realised it's 10 to 10. I've been blooming rabbiting on. I've only got to campaign 2 of Critical Role. That's nuts. Well, I suppose we best have our muscle moment. Because we haven't done that yet. So, backpack is on. She's getting there slowly. But let's flick to this view, because this is where the brawn meets the brush. This is the channel where the brawn meets the brush. We talk about fitness and geek stuff and all the fun things in between. And every week we talk about a muscle moment. And by muscle moment, it's normally tips, tricks, advice, points, and gives you guys the opportunity to ask questions on various different fitness things. I've been doing fitness for a very long time. Let's count. Crikey, my maths is terrible, but 24 years. 24 years. So that is a long time, because I joined the army at 16, so 24 years ago I started properly doing fitness in a variety of different ways. And what we were talking about earlier is back pain. And as we was just sort of jesting between us about how we get older and we feel a little bit tight here, or we hurt ourselves and we get back pain all the time because we're old. But what you should do is warm up and warm down correctly. And the reason for that, and you should even do that in your younger days, just because you can get away with it when you're younger, because your muscles are more elastic and more rubbery, so they sort of snap back and they're all fine all the time. But you should still do it just as it's good practice, and you get it into your system. Then you get to an old man like me, and then you try and do this stretching sort of regime, and you can't do it for love nor money. So what you should do is a good warm-up, warm-down process. Now, what does that really entail? Now, ultimately, it's very much about what you're doing, the activity you're doing. So it should be a... what's it called when you break something down? It's not revised version, it's... Oh, gosh. Again, words fall out of my head. But it's basically a scaled back version of what you're trying to do. For example, if you're trying to go for a 10-mile run, and that's what you're going to do for your training for whatever reason, your warm-up should be in relation, this is what I found, should be in relation to what you're about to do. If you start, doing this and doing this, that's not going to do a huge amount for your running. Yes, of course, your whole body runs, or you use your whole body to lift a weight. Of course you do. But the primary muscles need to be warmed up. And that's really where you need to focus on. So if you're going for the run, then work on your legs. If you're going to do a back and bicep session, work on your back and biceps. So first of all, identify what you're doing and find that muscle group that is more specific to that area of activities. You then go for the warm-up. I'd say my personal view, and again, this is my personal view, a warm-up doesn't need to be any more than sort of 10 minutes. What you want to try to achieve in that is raise the heart rate, for one, and also get the blood pumping and the muscles moving in that area that you're about to work. So, for example, if you're doing 400-meter sprints on a treadmill because you're trying to work speed into your cardiovascular sessions, you might want to get on the treadmill or a bike, and you might want to do 10 minutes at a slow, steady sort of pace. Could even be a walk or a fast, brisk walk, just so you can build up the heart rate, get the heart ready for what it's about to undertake, and start activating those muscle groups that you're about to use. Take it nice and steady to begin with, warm it up, and then as you're finishing towards your warm-up, or about 3/4 of the way through, give it a bit of a hard push, and then bring it back down again. So let's take our running example. If we're going out running, so you're running for 10 minutes, get 7-minute point, do a minute of harder, instead of just walking or brisk walking, take it into a jog, and then break it back down again for the last 2 minutes. If you're doing weights, what you could do is you could get a TheraBand, so those sort of rubber bands that you see thrown around the gym. Some people use them to even help them do things like pull-ups. Get that rubber band, tie it round a bit of apparatus in the gym, and say you're going to do biceps, so just bringing your arm out and you're just flexing each time, bringing the arm in every single time under tension through the TheraBand. TheraBand is nowhere near as strong as the weights or as heavy as the weights, but you're simulating the actions you're going to be doing during that exercise. How long should this last? So we said about 10 minutes roughly, and that should give you some kind of methodology or structure for your warm-up. Sorry, I keep coughing because I think I'm getting a really dry throat. My coaster was stuck to my mug. Look at my coasters, by the way, they're very cool. So these coasters I bought, they're very smart. I got them off Etsy, and I bought every single class in D&D. So when my players play around the table, they all get a coaster that is their class. So if they're playing the fighter, they get the fighter, the wizard gets the wizard, etc. Just to make them feel a little bit more like they're in the zone. But anyway, yes, so you've got your warm-up phase. You then go into your main activity, however long that lasts, and then your cool down. So your cooldown isn't about like the warm-up, but building your heart up and getting it ready for the activity you're about to do. It's about wind down. So you say you'll run. Let's take your run example. You go from your running speed, and instead of just stopping and falling on your ass and breathing out your every orifice, you stop or slow down gradually. So you go from a run into a jog into a walk over a period of time. Again, you could use the 10-minute marker for your cooldown. That's more than enough. So you slow yourself down over that time frame, and then start to incorporate perhaps some stretches for those muscle groups you've just worked. Again, in our running example, it's predominantly legs. So once you've finished your high-speed run, you slowly start to break that down and peter off into a jog. That might take you a minute or a minute and a half. Then you break it down into a walk, and then you walk for a couple of minutes, and before you sit down and stretch, you should be at the 5-minute point. So that run to jog, jog to walk, that's probably 5 minutes of your cooldown. The last 5 minutes, and you can spend on some stretching. Ideally, yes, you would want to stretch longer if you have the time, but I'd say 10 minutes is probably enough. And then you would want to incorporate stretching throughout your week, but we'll cover that in a sec. But that last part, you go from run to jog, jog to walk, walk into stretch. So you're then stretching those muscle groups that you've just used. Spend some time, understand those muscle groups. So I've just run, so I've used my quads and my hamstrings and my calves mainly. The rest of the body does activate, of course, but stretch off those groups. It's really easy to find stretches on the internet. Just make sure you're using the appropriate websites, or drop me a DM and I'll tell you, and I'll give you an explanation on how to do that. Spend your time stretching off over the last 5-10 minutes or so, depending on how much time you have available. Once you've then done that, you are free to finish and enjoy those post-run or post-weightlifting endorphins that are now flooding through your body after you've sort of gathered your breath and you feel a bit better. Now, the key to this is then being consistent on continuation of stretching and continuation of ensuring the body is prepared. So throughout the week, what you want to be able to do is incorporate at least one proper stretching session. All it's dedicated to, 45 minutes or so, is dedicated just to stretching. You know, hey, I'm just as bad as everyone else. I don't do it enough either, but you should do. So that's the entire body. So from your arms, neck, shoulders all the way down to your legs. Do absolutely every single muscle group, 45 minutes. Hold those stretches. When you're stretching off, you should be holding those stretches to sort of 10 to 30 seconds a stretch. Maybe a little bit longer if you're doing your stretching session. And your flexibility session, maybe hold it for a minute. So you might start at 10 seconds on your stretching session, which is 45 minutes. Start at 10 seconds, then do a release, then go back into that same stretch for 30 seconds, release, go back into it for 1 minute. That would be more than ample for stretching down that individual muscle group. Be absolutely fine. So there is your muscle moment where the brawn meets the brush here on Minis and Muscles. So we covered that off. Whew. What we're seeing in chat. So Bearded Veteran saying I have to do stretches just to get out of bed in the morning. Yeah, it's actually something they say is it's actually proven that you should do that anyway. So once you finish once you wake up in the morning, you should always stretch. If they say the sort of theories around cats and dogs and animals, if you watch your cat get up, it doesn't just get up and walk off. Same as a dog. The dog will get up, the cat will get up and stretch every time. So you should do that, even if you're laying in bed. Stretch. Oh, excuse me. God, I'm really tired. So what else is being said? Caduceus is one of my favourite Campaign 2 characters. Yes, we'll cover that off in a second. The stepson is coming down tomorrow for a few days, so I'll be spending some time with him, working on a video I'm doing for my channel and scale modelling. Lovely. Hey, good family time. Absolutely wholesome. Love it. Given that the average life expectancy in the UK is 83, technically we are all middle-aged already. Yeah. Is it 83 for blokes? I thought it was 70s, 78 for blokes. So I was saying, or 79, because my point of being 40 this year, I was like, oh, I'm now over halfway through my life expectancy. I was like, shit, that's crazy. But hey ho. But yes, back to our Critical Role chat. We were talking about Campaign 1, and we talked about Campaign 2 very briefly, about a couple of characters, and Squarish is mentioning Caduceus Clay. He is our... What was Caduceus now? Was he a druid? Crikey, it's ages since I watched that campaign, although I have a map behind me from that campaign. Was Caduceus a druid? I think he was. I think he's a... was he a grave cleric? Was he a grave cleric? Yeah, I think he was, wasn't he? Was he a grave cleric? I think so. I think he was a grave cleric. Off the top of my head, but he was a very cool character. So he was played by Taliesin Jaffe. Taliesin started off Campaign 2 with a character that died after about 8 or 9 episodes. Yeah, Squarish is saying he's a cleric. Yeah, I thought so. Grave cleric is what he was. But yeah, Taliesin started off with... gosh, my memory. He started off with... Not his other name is Lucian, but his name is Mollymock. Mollymock Tealeaf. He started off with Mollymock. Mollymock died after a couple of episodes, only about 9 or 10 or so. And that's quite an emotional moment, I think, for the cast, because they don't often get character kills where they die completely. Quite often in Critical Role, what you'll find is characters die and they're brought back to life. Some way, somehow. Which is kind of frustrating sometimes, because it's good to see a character die. There's been plenty of opportunities in Campaign 3, for example, where characters probably should have died, but they haven't, which is absolutely okay because the characters are lovable, right? But it's also quite cool, because what I love about D&D is that it has that aspect where you don't know whether you're going to survive. Your characters might die in that session, or they might survive, but you just don't know. But yes, so Caduceus replaced Mollymock, and he was a really cool sort of laid-back, chilled-out Furbolg sort of hippie kind of character. So he was really cool, and I loved how Taliesin Jaffe played that character. It was like, yeah, that's right, yeah, and just sort of this relaxed, mellow tone. I can't do a very good impression of Taliesin Jaffe's Caduceus, but he was awesome. And he used to drink, was it mushroom tea or something like that? But he used to drink odd tea all the time. But he was very cool. Bearded Veteran's saying 78.8 for men. Yeah, so over halfway through our life expectancy, bro. That's crazy. That's worrying. So very, very worrying that I'm over halfway through my life expectancy at least. Oof, that's mad. But back to our campaign 2 of Critical Role. So, who else did we have in the Critical Role campaign 2? So, crikey. I'm going to have to be really bad here and Google the characters because I've forgotten. I've forgotten the characters, even though I've got like artwork and everything everywhere. I've got a load of books just there behind me, but I can't remember for the life of me. I don't know if any of you have this, but now I'm over halfway through my life expectancy. I have these moments where the words just disappear completely. So, yeah, we had Ashley Johnson, who was Pike in campaign 1. She was doing a lot of filming, so she was in and out at the start of the second campaign. But it still worked because Matt was very clever in his way of introducing and taking away and reintroducing the character for different reasons, which then sort of came to light later as we got to know the character. But her character was called Yasha. Yasha was a barbarian, so he was going from cleric for Ashley to a barbarian, which was quite cool, seeing her play that kind of rough, gruff character. But that was a cool character, quite dark. She knew Molly Mock, so she knew him very well, so it was very sad for her character when Molly died. So she was awesome. Liam O'Brien played Caleb. Caleb Widogast, who was like it's like a German accent that he used for his wizard. Sort of very scrawny, scruffy, smelly wizard, which is really funny character to the rest of the party sort of always picked on his smelliness, which was quite funny in a friendly, jesting way. And he had a cat familiar called Frumpkin. Was it Frumpkin? I want to say Frumpkin. I'm pretty sure it was a little ginger cat, and I'm pretty sure it's called Frumpkin. But that was quite a cool utility spell. We were talking about utility spells earlier and how you integrate it into your game. So he really, like I was saying from campaign 1, it was quite obvious Liam is a lover of D&D, and he's very clever at how he plays. And how he played and used Frumpkin was very good because he used it in tactical situations and in roleplay situations to allow the cat to do different things. So that was cool. I liked that. Who else do we have? We got Sam Regal. Oh, he played Not. So he played Not, the Goblin. I don't want to say too much, but he also played another character called Veth. So she was a halfling. Yeah, halfling. I do believe. Halfling female, but and Not was a female goblin. Not is a hilarious character. The voice Sam put on for that character was absolutely brilliant. And that was quite a comical, especially when you got Not and Jester together in a conversation or a role-playing moment. That was pure gold. I loved those two characters together. What was he saying? Bearded Veteran saying, "You'll be alright, Steve. You'll be the only 70-year-old with biceps and an exercise routine. The rest of us will be withered and drooling down our chests staring at the wall." I don't know about that, man. I don't know. I'd hope that I could keep my fitness going until I'm older. I'd love to be working out at 70. That would be an absolute goal of mine. It'd be wonderful to be able to do that. Hopefully I will be able to at some point. Until that kind of point. But yeah, that'd be nice to be able to do that. But there's no reason why you can't. No reason why anyone can't. Start now. Get those habits in. And then last character we haven't met on campaign 2 for Critical Role was Travis Willingham's Ford. Ford, who starts with like a southern sort of cowboy type accent. Very interesting. Half-orc paladin, I believe. But he was very, very cool. He was like quite a cool character, and then he changed into this sort of and again, without saying too much in case you haven't seen, he then sort of changes into this not so cool character. He's still cool to watch, but not so cool as in persona. Very, very clever. So I like that character, very good. But that again, the party, a lot like Mighty Nine, a lot like Vox Machina. The characters really seem to gel with the players that were playing them, and they seem to work well together. Campaign 3, which we haven't quite touched on, and I know we're shooting over a little bit on usual time, but hey, you know, it's Friday, why not? So in campaign 3, it's slightly different. So Bell's Hells. So we've got a couple of... It just doesn't feel the same as the other two. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if the players aren't in it or in love with it as much. I don't know if it's just too well done, as in the production of the whole setup is too well done. I just don't know. It just doesn't feel as encapsulating, is that the right word, as the other two campaigns. For whatever, it's still awesome. Do not get me wrong. It's still awesome. It's still well worth a watch, well worth a follow, well worth a look in on YouTube, on your rest of your social medias. What Squarish saying here was Ford a paladin all the way through, or was he a warlock turned paladin? Ah, yes, he was. So you're correct. He started off as a warlock, and then he changed. So again, without too many spoilers, he started as warlock. Something happened that changed his persona, and through that he turned to the light, as in a faith, and then he changed his character to paladin, and that's absolutely okay to do. So I think the reason, the rationale behind that happening was that Travis wasn't enjoying playing Ford as a warlock. So he chatted to Matt, who is the DM, and they spoke about how to adapt his character to be able to be more enjoyable for him to play. Because that's the ultimate thing, right? You want to enjoy playing. So he changed it across, he shifted. And then he seemed to be a lot more happier. Squarish is saying, I think Campaign 3 is just a much more serious tone to it. It doesn't have the comic relief of the characters like Jester. Yeah, true. So in Campaign 3, we've got... 2 seconds. In Campaign 3, we've got a lot of cool characters again. So Laura Bailey is playing a character called Imogen. Imogen is a sorcerer. She's very, very closely tied to the main arc of the story. She is this sort of southern drawl type accent. Very interesting character. Quite serious. Doesn't seem to be... She just put a couple of jokes here and there, but seems to be a lot more serious in how Laura is playing her. Still very cool character. Taliesin is playing Ashton Greymore, a barbarian. I think Taliesin, for me, I loved Taliesin in the other two. From Percy to Mollymock to Caduceus. But Ashton doesn't seem... I don't think it seems to fit Taliesin's style of play. So although he's still playing the character, and the character's cool, you know, he's not like it's terrible, it just doesn't seem to fit him as well. People are probably going to hate me, by the way. I'm probably going to get some right jip from Critical Role lovers. And it's not because I'm saying they're terrible or they're bad, I don't like it. I still watch it. You know, I'm still going. It just doesn't seem that character fits him as well. And the same as Laura and Imogen, actually. She does a great job at doing it. But you can see sometimes that she wants to bring out that comical side, and I think that's what Squarish is in the chat is saying. Then you've got Ashley Johnson is playing Fern Calloway, the druid satyr. I think it's a satyr. Is in race. This character though is freaking hilarious. In campaign 2, Ashley Johnson played a barbarian, Yasha. That didn't suit Ashley. This character, that is a druid rogue character, is freaking brilliant, and she's killing it. I think she's like, is she my favourite character? I think she might be my favourite character in this campaign. and she's doing. I think she's probably the better character, the more interesting character, full of fun, full of jokes, mischievous as hell. Very, very, very good. We've got Liam O'Brien as Orym. This character, me, again, love Liam O'Brien, love the character Orym, but I don't think the two fit particularly well. Because Liam is quite, like I said, he's like all over the rules, all over being serious D&D player. Orym is a serious character, so I don't know whether the serious works well enough to bring him to light in all the ways. He's brilliant in like the combat scenes and things like that. But I don't know, maybe it's just that he's a bit part character perhaps. It doesn't feel like it works. I'm not sure why. I don't know. Don't hate me, please. So Marisha Ray, so she plays Laudna or Loudna. And Squarish in the chat is saying, I think Marisha does an awesome job as Loudna. Yeah, she's very funny. She plays this like skitty, weird, crazy, should I say or not? She plays this humanoid type character. I don't want to release any spoilers just in case you haven't seen it. But she plays it in a comical way, and that's actually quite funny. She's sort of this crazy sort of. She almost acts like she's older than what her character is, and like this sort of like old, almost like an old lady kind of crazy posh British voice vibe. So that is quite funny. So she's pretty good. You've got Sam Riegel. So as I said, he's one of my favourites of past. For two of his past characters, plays Fresh Cut Grass, the cleric. So, well, he actually plays two characters, but up until a certain point, he plays Fresh Cut Grass. Fresh Cut Grass, cleric, robot. Typical Sam Riegel. He is funny. He is a funny character to watch, just generally anyway. But that works pretty well. He plays, was it Bryce Doomseed? He also plays as well in the later in the campaign. I haven't seen much of that character, so I can't comment too much yet. Squarish saying in the chat, had to get the new Loudna t-shirt when it came out. Love the artwork. Yeah, so their merch is killer. I've got loads of their Critical Role t-shirts. They're epic. They do some great stuff. And it's pretty good quality, actually, as well. The only thing I don't like is the WizKids models. WizKids, pull your finger out your butthole. The minis are terrible. Like, I don't know who they got painting them, but they're like a blind person painting. And I don't mean that in a mean way to anybody that is blind. But I would imagine a blind person painting a miniature that is this small is exceptionally difficult and it won't come out very well. That's my point. The miniatures that you get from WizKids, I've got them here. They're just really badly done. And it's such a letdown because I think it's 2016 with Vox Machina, Critical Role released some miniatures done by Steamforged Games. I've got them. They are brilliant. Like the detail of the miniatures it's like a Warhammer miniature. If you've got Warhammer, you know the quality of the resin print they do, or the plastic mold print. The WizKids ones are dire, and I think that was really bugged me when I got those, because I got them on pre-order when they announced it, and then when they arrived, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Just swore. Sorry. I was really disappointed, but generally the merch that Critical Role do is awesome. Like stuff like this big blanket flag, map. That's cool as heck. I love that. I'd love the other ones, but I was too late to get them, so couldn't get them. But if you know of anyone that's got them, want to sell them to me, let me know. I also check out eBay all the time for them too. What other characters did we have? We had Travis originally started playing Bertram Bell, who's a character from another campaign. Very funny character. Sort of this sort of scaredy cat kind of posh guy that's kind of playing at being an adventurer. Very cool. Then he plays Chetney Pockapee. So Chetney is a little... Chetney is a little gnome... gnome rogue. There you go. Known rogue, very... He plays an old character. He plays it as an old man as well, so he plays this brilliant voice on him. Very amusing. I think some of my favourite points have probably come from either Ashley Johnson as Fern or Travis as Chetney. They're quite comical. I think they're probably my favourite two characters in this season or this campaign. What's my most memorable moment? I think some of them actually might just be the interactions between Chetney and Fern. There's a lot of like Chetney is this old sort of character that sort of thinks he's super handsome and all the rest of it, and is super cool, and he has this tattoo, and it says respect. I think was it respect the alpha? RT. I think it's RTA, and he says it's respect the alpha or something like that. No spoilers. But respect the alpha, and he's sort of always sort of trying to impress on Fern and things like that, and the interactions between the two of those are very, very funny. But overall, campaign 3 just for me feels like it's missing something. I don't know what it is. Can't quite put my finger on it, but it just feels like there's not something there. They have loads of cool special guests. All 3 seasons have loads of guests all the way through it, and they bring in occasionally 1 or 2 sometimes guests to play along, sometimes more actually, because for example campaign 3 they split they split the party and they bring in different guests for each half, so that's really cool. I liked that when they did that. That was pretty good. So one thing I wanted to talk about was the Matt Mercer effect on Dungeon Masters. So because he is so good, like I said, the narrative, the character playing, the world building, he is so good. Everyone sort of has, they call it the Matt Mercer effect, where everyone kind of wants to do exactly the same and replicate that. That's a hard task. So I would say to anyone that admires him like I do, take bits from him, but remain yourself all the time when you're DMing, because if you try to remember all the stuff that he does, you'll probably fail at some point. But he is awesome as the dungeon master that crafts these stories and this narrative. Like, hats off, he is so cool. As you say, 4 people watching. Only 2 like. Come on, people, show Steve some love. Oh, yeah, show me some love. Come on, whoever's watching. So what else on the what I want to cover? Memorable characters. For me, the most memorable extra character that I had, it wasn't actually a guest that played it. It was in campaign 2 of Critical Role. Jester finds a little bird creature, so Kenku, called Kiri, Kiri. Now, Kiri is a young child, and she can't talk properly. She just, as a bird, she's almost like a mimic bird. She repeats what people say, and that's how she formulates the conversation. And that was the sweetest moment of Critical Role in campaign 2, where you had Jester and the rest sort of mothering this sort of bird and bringing it along with them and teaching it things and all the rest of it. And then there's some very funny moments where Matt brings in, and as he plays Kiri, brings in some funny elements to that to sort of liven it up a bit as well. And I actually liked that character so much, I called my cat that. So I have a cat that was living out in the bush outside my house. I took her in and I called her Kiri. So that's where that comes from. But that was one of my favourite moments. We spoke about merchandise. There's plenty of that. Plenty of fan groups. Wow. I bought loads of the merch. I'm an absolute sucker for it, which is not so good. I did get the opportunity to meet some of the Critical Role. I met them all actually. So at Comic Con last year, I went there to Comic Con, I paid quite a lot of money, and got my photo taken with them. I chatted to them all, and they were all really lovely, considering they had thousands of people that were going through, they must have been absolutely piss bored, to be frank. But they were really lovely. And then as I was there for the charity Game Therapy UK, we had a giant dice. This giant D20 dice with lots of different, 20 different sizes, were getting signed by celebrities. And we were going to raffle it off, and the money was going to go to Tactical Advanced Game to support the charity. So I went round, because Critical Role were there, it was my aim to go and see them, go and speak to them, and get them to sign this dice. It was for charity, so they were all doing like singular signs at these desks, and there was a little side bit, and I was waiting at this side bit, and I had this dice and a pen, and I was shouting to each one, getting them to come over, and I got Travis, he was the first one. I think I softened him up because I like the Dallas Cowboys, and so does he. And when he walked in to do his signing, as he was going the other way, I just shouted, "Hey Travis, go Cowboys!" And he sort of raised his hand type thing. And then when he came back out, I said, "Oh Travis, I've got this, for a military charity," and he talks about military charities in the show. I said, "Would you sign it? We're auctioning it off." And then so he signed it, and then Laura Bailey come out, and I said, Laura, Travis has signed it. Please come and sign this." And she was so sweet, and she came and signed it. And then Ashley Johnson came out, and I was like, Ashley. And then she come and signed it. She was also very, very kind. And then Liam came out, and he was like a bit nervous of whether to sign it or not. And then he went as if to go in the lift. Then he came back out. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. So he signed it as well. I couldn't get Matt, I couldn't get Sam, I couldn't get Taliesin. I didn't see any of those come. Oh no, I did see Sam, but he wouldn't sign it as he was walking past. Matt, no, his like PR just ushered him straight past. Taliesin I didn't see. I didn't see Marisha. So those I didn't see there. Although I'd already had my photo taken with them, but there was no time for them to sign the dice there. So, what did I do? Bit of a crazy story. So, when I was at the show, I was sort of going around and trying to get these signatures, and people were saying, "Oh, because you're a vendor at the show, you have access to the VIP." And I was like, "Oh, they're up in the VIP right now. Go and get the signatures." I was like, "Oh," and basically the lead of Game Therapy UK phoned me and told me and said, "Oh, I've just spoken to these people and they said you have access." I was like, "Great, brilliant. All right, I'll go up in the lift." So I literally just opened the barrier, walked straight in the lift, went up, and walked on the corridor and found a room, and it said Critical Role. And I was like, "Oh, okay." I knocked on the door, I went in, and they were all in there, like chilling. And I went to hand it to Taliesin. They all remembered this giant dice from the photo. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'll sign it for you now." Because I asked them at the photo to sign it, but they couldn't. And he said, yeah, of course I will. I'll do it right now. As he went to sign it, I don't know what happened behind me, but someone said no somewhere. And the security came in, and they were like, "What are you doing in here? Blah, blah, blah." And then Sam was like, "You guys can't be," because there was another bloke with me. He's like, "You can't come in here. Why are you in here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry." I was like, "I absolutely did not know that this was your private room. I thought this was just the VIP room. I was told that I had access to the VIP room. I'm so sorry." But anyway, we walked out. So we didn't get any signatures or any more signatures that day. And as I was walking down the corridor, I saw Laura Bailey walking towards me. And she was like, "Oh my God, you made it up here." And she was like, "This is brilliant. How did you get up here? Blah, blah, blah." And she said, "I'm really good to see you." Because she remembered me from the photograph that I had. And I was like, "Oh," I said, "it's lovely to see you as well." I said, "I love your show and everything you do." And I said, "But we're being kicked out." And she's like, "Oh." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't think we should have been up here. I was told we could have come up here, but it looks like we shouldn't have been." And she was like, "Ugh." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry. Can you say sorry to the rest of them?" And then obviously we got escorted back to the main floor of Comic Con. And then I felt really bad after that. I felt like, when you meet your heroes, right? You meet your heroes and they're sort of, and you feel like you've let them down. It's a really weird feeling. Like you feel like you've upset them, and you love these people in a respect way. And I was like, oh my god, I've like, really upset them, and I was so conscious about this for weeks. I emailed Critical Role, apologising. I sent Sam Regal a message on LinkedIn. Got nothing back at all from anybody. But I was absolutely gutted. It took me ages to watch Critical Role again because I was just so sad that I'd, upset them all in their green room. So I didn't realise I'd just there's me just being completely nonchalant, just walked straight in and burst into their green room. But hey, these things happen, right? And I didn't hurt anyone, and I wasn't mean. I wasn't trying to do anything bad. I wasn't even getting signatures for me. I didn't even win the bloody dice. It went to someone else. So all my hard work and that dice that had loads of signatures on it, including Roll Britannia, Ian Livingstone, loads and loads and loads of signatures, it went to someone else. But it did raise money for the charity, so that was cool. But anyway, I'm waffling. It's now 10:30. I should probably call it quits there, guys. As always, although I haven't managed to give much of a Q&A today, and we did start late and all the rest of it, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for those that are chatting away in chat. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Please remember to like. Please remember to subscribe. Turn your notifications on so when I do go live, as long as I'm not late, you won't miss me. Please, again, pass this on to your friends. If you think your friends might be interested in this channel, even if they're just happy to support and give us a like or a subscribe, and they're not really that interested, if they would do that, that would mean absolute the world to me. I'd love to get to 100 followers. Thanks, Bearded Veteran. I appreciate it very much. But yes, so make sure you do all of that. Yeah, I don't have any other social media channels. It's just YouTube, so just focus on that. I do have a link tree in the profile, so you can do other bits, like I think I've got Patreon, and I've got something else set up on there, Twitch I think it might be, but everything's run through YouTube so right now, so just worry about the YouTube. Remember, next week live stream, so I'll be coming back from the USA and I'll be absolutely ball bagged, but I will be here and I'll be online, and I will be here for you to chat to take you through the Ghost Dragon. I am going to prep the Ghost Dragon tomorrow, so he is ready for next week. But anyway, as I've said, it has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you allowing me to get this far with this little model so far, with one of my sisters of battle for my group. So she's getting on the way. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Friday. Spend it with your loved ones. And I will see you all next week, where the brawn meets the brush for one more time. See you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.